People don't even put a lot of effort into lying anymore. And it's kind of crazy. Look, we have no consensus reality anymore. And there is no interest in consensus reality at all. Everyone is just like, nope, I agree with this already. I have suspicions. I have prior suspicions. And that's all I need. The other side of this equation, the other side of this like frustrating reality that we live in is that people also have this higher priority for video. Audio and video footage is in their minds like not susceptible to deception. Like they already have completely stopped reading shit. Nobody reads anything anymore. But they're like, oh, but I'll still make up my own mind. I'll do my own research by watching a video, not realizing that videos that you watch can absolutely be framed in a certain way. This is the problem with clip culture. The titles don't match the video. People don't watch it, and the comments are removed from the reality of what's happening. Yes, and then people fall by the wayside where they just like they operate off of an entirely separate, faulty understanding of what might have taken place. Then there is already a immediate echo chamber that is designed around it. So then there is this feedback loop when you're in this totally alternative reality with a bunch of other people, and they all believe it. And therein lies the question, right? Does the truth matter? Or what is the truth? If everyone believes something entirely different, does the truth matter at all? Now, I believe it does, right? I still believe it does. Unfortunately, I think in this current high-paced, deceptive, and incredibly polarized media environment, the reality of the matter is the truth is secondary. It's inconsequential. What matters is the narrative. Narrative overcomes truth. Do you think Twitter will disappear at some point or slowly lose more viewers? No, I had a more optimistic worldview of the future when I initially thought that like people would inevitably snap back, like woke would come back, people would inevitably snap back to like a little bit of normalcy because they'd be grossed out by the stuff. But I genuinely believe that people are just getting dumber and dumber. And as people get dumber and dumber, I think they lean into more insane conspiracies. I genuinely don't think we're going to recover. I don't think people are just going to snap back and decide to be intelligent again. I just think that there is less and less of a market for people who are going to say like, look, this is my worldview. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about certain things. I will always base my analysis off of facts, right? I'm always going to think critically about things. I'm always going to try to do my very best. I can still fuck up every now and then. I'm a human being, but I will always root my analysis in facts, okay? I will try to be as truthful as I physically, humanly can. And I think a part of being truthful also is about revealing your political worldview. Many of these guys, on the other hand, don't do that. I think they just kind of lean into in a maybe sinister, maybe not sinister. Maybe they're just like oblivious to the fact that they're not apolitical and they're actually right wing, but like they will just say that they're apolitical. They're anti-politics. They're apolitical. They don't have any like political worldviews or whatever. They're centrist. A lot of people see that as a positive. They personally believe that they also are constantly saying like, well, there's some truth to every side on any issue, right? I think that works a lot better. Like, I think that just works better as far as marketing goes. I think people find themselves duped by people who don't come out of the gate swinging with their political worldview, even if they are a political operative, right? The Nick Shitley, Tyler Oliveira equation. I think those guys get a lot of fucking coworkers and a lot of normies to believe in a whole bunch of right-wing nonsense with their framing on issues, with who they collaborate, with what they say. And they never actually say that they are right-wing, right? Even if they go on Fox News, people don't know that they're going on Fox News and shit, you know what I mean? Until they openly come out and say, I'm a right-winger, I'm voting for Donald Trump, many people don't think that, these guys are right-wing. Sometimes you can have a person who endorses Donald Trump and people still refuse to admit that they're right-wing. Joe Rogan is the greatest example of this. And I think because of that, because of how much people refuse to comprehend that someone who's not openly saying they're right wing can still be fucking right wing. That kind of shit pops off pretty hard, I think, for a lot of normies. A lot of normies look at that and go, no, this guy's just like tackling the issue in a sincere way. And when someone does come out and say, like, nah, I'm this, I'm leftist, I'm a leftist, I will criticize Democrats, I will criticize the Republicans, I'm a leftist, this is my worldview. People hear that and then they immediately bracket you into a certain part. Like they immediately associate you with all of the baggage that comes along with what they believe that means. And oftentimes it's not real shit, especially when it's a worldview or an ideology that's like totally outside of what they've ever encountered or been propagandized against pretty heavily. Broadly, people associate bias with political viewpoint and discount people who believe they believe have a bias, and people who don't say they have one aren't recognized as having one. Exactly. And I hate that. I think that is the most insincere shit of all time. Fox News saying that they're doing like real news commentary. Obviously, it's when they first started doing editorial pieces that was heavily right wing, Fox News didn't openly say they're like heavily right wing or whatever. They still say that they're fair and balanced, right? Fox News is mainstream news. It's the most mainstream news, as a matter of fact. It's the most successful mainstream news outlet. And yet, what do? They constantly rail against mainstream news. They constantly rail against mainstream news. And people tune in and think, oh, I'm actually not watching mainstream news when I'm watching Fox News. I'm watching a different perspective. By and large, I think a lot of the free thinkers are sheep. A lot of people who feel like they're adults, or a lot of people who see themselves as like more intelligent than the average person, I think they also fall into the same marketing. Because I see far too many intelligent people, far too many educated people that are so uneducated when it comes to media literacy. And this is just a real issue, no matter what. And I think slowly but surely, as society devolves, slowly but surely, as political discourse worsens in this country, as a byproduct of material conditions worsening as well, I think there will be less and less investment and less interest in like serious news coverage or even, serious analysis. And people who just make up conspiracy theories will probably pop off even harder. That's somewhat of a bleak outlook, but that is what I think. And because mainstream media has completely dropped the ball over and over and over again with trying to desperately frame certain things that we can all see in a totally different light, they have lost all credibility in the eyes of many people. And now, because they've lost all credibility on as many people, there is no like anchor point that we can go to establish consensus reality. So now consensus reality is achieved by who gets to be first to market and who gets to really pummel a narrative. And I mean, there are obviously still people who care. You're in here right now, right? I do notice, especially with the younger generation, there's less and less people invested in this. And I think we're heading down a more slop-focused, vibes-focused understanding of the world where whoever is first to market, whoever can establish a more compelling narrative, a more interesting narrative, especially one that leans into pre-established norms and pre-established social learned behavior, like right-wing shit in general, is going to always win out. So that's where we're at. And I don't know. I think the next meta in the upcoming year 100% is going to be like the Candace Owens meta. The truth is totally irrelevant. It is not a successful way to cut through the noise and to get people back on board with what is actually going on. It is so much more effective if your counter narrative is also made up. Candace Owens showed that. And that's what's really interesting. I think that we're going to see that more and more. I think like conspiracy theories that are grand, that are increasingly more insane, will be the most effective way to control narratives in the upcoming decade if we make it out that far.